last weekend, or Friday, I went to help some people south of here, and I got Rick and Clay and Diane, and we went down there to gather some cattle, and they were going to work some calves and do a bunch of stuff. And let me give you a little background on this before I go forward on what that is. The gentleman that owns that ranch, he owns another ranch in Hugo. Actually, he owns two little places south of here, and he owns another place in Hugo. That gentleman just has been talking with me and the pastor over at the Hugo Cowboy Church, and he wanted to do something for the cowboy work around here, the cowboy churches. And he asked me, what do I need? What do I need? And I kept saying, I told him, we need a church property and a building over there at Hugo. Well, as of 2 days ago, they have 33 acres that he donated to them. He paid for it and donated it to them. So that was a huge and wonderful thing. Yes. A huge and wonderful thing. And one of the things that when he was asking us what he could do for us, I said, what can we do for you? And the one thing he asked us to do is to help him at these ranches, work the cattle and get everything done. And I said, that will never be a problem. You will never have to worry about it. We have cowboy churches and there are cowboys, real cowboys in these churches, and we can help you do whatever you need to do. Well, on Friday, it was kind of tough to get very many people to come because most people work. But I got Rick, and I convinced my son, and Diane came. And so we went down there, and again, I'm talking about calf branding. They don't rope calves. They didn't want to rope calves. And in fact, not only did they not rope calves, they don't castrate the way we do. The way I do, I should say. Or most people do. They put a band over the testicles, and it sucks up and it stays there for weeks, sometimes even months. And I don't believe in that, never have. But anyway, but I was asked to help. We go down there in the morning and we start helping. They wanted to work the cows first. We ran them all through, got them all done, worked the cows, and then they had to go to another little place and work those cows, and they had 4 or 5 calves over there. Well, they tried to get the calves to go into a chute. One of the calves wouldn't go in. I said, you know, it'd be really simple if we rope these calves and we'd be done. You know, wouldn't have to worry about trying to push them up in there, hold them, stretch them, push them, you know, do whatever. Finally, the gal that was there was a lady that runs that one, she said, okay, go ahead. So we went through and it went like a snap, done. Of course, we had myself, Rick, Diane, and Clay. So you need 2 people on the ground in order to throw the calf, put the ropes on, and do everything. So we go from there and we go to the next place. Well, this is the second part of what we needed to help them with. We had to haul cattle for them. So we load up our trailer with all their calves, and Diane hauls them to Hugo, and then she has to go to the other ranch and pick up cattle there. So she's gone. We go back to the other ranch, and they got about 25, 26 head of calves they had to do over there. We go and she says, go ahead and rope them. She tries to castrate with this band, and she can't make it work. And there was a lot of trouble with that. So we finally convinced her to go ahead and castrate them by cutting them, pulling the testicles out, done. Sorry if I'm offending anybody, but that's the way we do it. Anyway, so we got all that done. We go through and we start to rope these calves, but we're short people, and nobody there that knew how to do it or wanted to help. And so we just kept doing it. You know, we'd rope a calf, and the little ones was easy. But then we got some great big ones, or not great big ones, but big enough that were, well, they were great big, weren't they, Clay? Yeah. So I just had Rick had head one or heel one, and then I'd jump off my horse, run over, and help Clay, and we'd get them thrown down, stretch them, and it was work now. We didn't have enough help, but I wanted to do something anyway. I wanted them to realize that it's quicker and faster if we roped them, even though things weren't going really well. Okay, not really well at all. But we kept going, and we were making it work, but we were getting beat up in the meantime. And especially Clay. He got kind of tore up, run over, and knocked over a few times. He ended up underneath one, and I said, Clay, you sure you want to hold that calf like that? Like, but we got it done. But the whole time while we was doing that, I kept thinking, we can just run them over in that squeeze and, give up, basically. We could just, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. This is going to go on forever. We're going to help these people all the time. And the thing about roping calves in Brandon, you can find help. When you got to go work calves in a chute or calf table, nobody wants to help. So, and I knew it was more fun and it would be enjoyable. You could make it into something. But if I gave up, it wouldn't be. So we just kept going. And we got it all done. We got it all done. And I don't know how they felt at the end. They may not want to do it next time that way. But we didn't give up. We finished the job, and we finished it the way we started it. And you know what? This message is about that. This message is about being Christians. It's about the same thing, except it's not selling calf branding. It's not pushing roping calves. It's pushing Christianity. We need to go out there and show everybody that we're Christians. We need to go out and do what God wants us to do. Because you know what? I didn't go down to that ranch down there and say, okay, we're going to rope all your calves. I waited for an opportunity to say something. I waited until they couldn't do what they needed to do. And I said, hey, we could rope those calves if you want us to. And they said, okay. Okay. I didn't push on them. And the same thing with being a Christian. As a Christian, you don't go getting pushy and telling people, hey, this is the way you got to do it. Or else. That ain't going to ever work, is it? And I'll tell you, it may work. I'll take that back. It may work. Y'all know that in the state of Oklahoma, 84% of the population does not go to church. 84% of the population does not go to church. So it may be working, but it's only working with 16% of the population if you're pushing. So what do? You got to change your strategy, and that's what these cowboy churches are. A changed strategy, outside the box. We're not pushing. We don't go door to door banging on them, telling people they have to be Christians. We get opportunities by what we do, everyday life. And we know that God's going to open the door for us to say something. And at that point, we have to step up and say it. Just like when we had them calves on the ground, any point in time I could have said, I give up, just run them through the chute, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I was pretty tired. I'll tell you what, I had a vest on because it was cool in the morning, and I didn't take it off, and halfway through the day I was soaked, just soaked. So I didn't take it off at all so nobody would see all that sweat. But we didn't stop. We just kept going. And that's what you got to do. When God opens the door for you to tell somebody else about Christianity, and He's going to do that. He's going to set it up so that you can say something to someone else. You need to step up, and even when it feels like it's going wrong, do it anyway. Don't give up. Don't settle. Don't walk away. Do it. And maybe not take it that day. Maybe they won't even listen to you that day. Or maybe you just plant a seed. But you know what? This next time when they go to work cattle, I'm going to go down there and wait for them. And if they don't want to do that, then I'll just wait for another opportunity until they do. And we'll do it again. And we'll do it again. And we'll do it again until they finally realize that God does love them and that Christianity is not hypocritical. And that we can show that love without being pushy or showing that we're real people every day, 7 days a week. That's who Christians are. We try to do our best. We're not going to be perfect. That's who Christians are. We show them that. We show them that when God opens that door for us. When we're presented with an opportunity for them to see. And when things don't go right, don't worry. Don't worry. Because you know what? I guarantee one thing. Anytime you start doing God's work, the devil's going to be right there trying to make you think that nothing's working. That nothing's working. And then you'd be surprised. If you continue, that person that you were talking to, maybe at church the next day, or maybe it come and say, hey, I wanted to hear a little more about what you were talking about the other day. Give it an opportunity. Don't give up. This is something that when Christ came, He said one thing to us when He left that was so important. It was called the Great Commission. It wasn't please can you try, or hey, how about you guys do this? It was called the Great Commission for a reason. He wanted us all to become disciples for Him and spread His Word throughout the world to make new disciples. And that is so important, because being a Christian isn't just walking the walk and talking the talk. It's actually doing. It's actually doing. It's getting on the ground, getting right there in the middle of the fight, and continuing it. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a fight. We're fighting to take back what we've lost to Satan. And right now we've lost a lot in this world. In this, the United States, which was based on Christianity, which, according to some people, they don't think so. And we need to tell them, yes, it is again. And it is again by our actions. And it is again by what we do. And we do not give up. We do not say, I can't do that. Because I'll tell you something else. It isn't going to just be, bang, good, I got it. I did that, everything worked perfect. It might, but the majority of the time it ain't going to work perfect. This is not a perfect world. We're not in heaven, and we're not in the Garden of Eden anymore. We're in a fallen world. And we are until God brings us home. And until God brings me home, I'm going to go out and tell as many people as I can about how wonderful home is going to be. And I just want that message to be out there, because it's not always easy. It is not always easy, and it isn't a snap of the fingers and everybody changes. So don't think that you talk to somebody and that's it. They're changed. Because that's not how it's going to happen. Diane told me a story. It was kind of a funny story. It popped into my head, so I'm going to tell it. There's a couple, live in Arkansas, lived in backcountry all their lives, never been out of the backcountry, have a baby, and the baby raises up, he's about 15, 16 years old, and they realize that he's never been out of the country, and neither have they, and they need to go out and get in the real world, the big city. So they get in their car and they drive to Dallas. They go to a really fancy hotel, and they go in, they have reservations, they go in, they tell them who they are, and they say okay, and they start talking. Well, the wife goes up and she's taking care of all that, and the husband goes over and he's standing in front of this big wall. In front of that wall there's just buttons, and they got numbers all over the top, and this wall opens up sideways. And this old lady gets in, pushes the button, and the door shuts. A few minutes goes by, door opens up, and this beautiful lady steps out, young. And he looks at her and thinks, wow. Looks at his son and says, hey, go get mom. It ain't like that. You can't press a button and change everything. You aren't going to change it. We are here, we're real people, and it doesn't just go bang. We're still living in the real, this world until God takes us home. So we got to remember, what can we do while we're here? Well, we got to fight a little bit, but we got to fight for God, not ourselves. Fight for God. I've got some scriptures I want to read y'all. 1 Corinthians 10:33. I try to please everyone in everything I do, not doing what I like or what is best for me, but what is best for them, so that they may be saved. This is Paul talking, and he's saying, I'm going to go out and do whatever I can. I'm going to wait for that opportunity. I'm going to do things for people. And when that opportunity presents itself, I'm going to present it. I'm going to do everything I can. In Matthew 24, 46 through 47, it says, blessings on you if I return. This is Jesus talking. Blessings on you if I return and find you faithfully doing your work. I will put such faithful ones in charge of everything I own. Let's all be faithful. Because when we go home, it'd sure be better to be in charge of everything and have everything there for you. And know that the most important thing is that Christ loves what you're doing. Because He loved us so much, He died on the cross for us. And if we couldn't just do a little bit back for Him, then who are we? 2 Corinthians 4, 1 through 2. It is God Himself, in His mercy, who has given us this wonderful work of telling His good news to others. And so we never give up. We do not try to trick people into believing. We are not interested in fooling anyone. We never try to get anyone to believe that the Bible teaches what it doesn't. They just want everyone, this was Paul, they just wanted everyone to understand. They wanted them to understand so that they could completely believe and trust and know just who Christ was. And in 2 Corinthians, and this is the one I want you all to hear and remember, it says, we are pressed on every side by troubles, but not crushed and broken. We are perplexed because we don't know why things happen as they do, but we don't give up and quit. Remember that one. The next time you try to do something and it doesn't work right. Next time you say, I'm going to go and talk with someone, or I'm stepping up, and then the devil hits you with something. Take that and use it as fuel. Don't use it to knock you down. Don't let it knock you down. Use it as fuel to go right back in. Step right in and do what you need to do. Be bold.